well, because this is the oldest book that we have written down, is this cookie that looks rather dense. It's just flour and a little bit of butter and some coriander in it.
Coriander?
I know. And then what you do is you bake them, and because they're so hard, it says to put them in the basement or a damp area or a damp vessel for at least a month to ripen.
Oh, God.
I think I'll take the Toll House.
Yeah.
Gdayall, and welcome to episode 14. Phil, I don't need to ask you what today's show is about because this song says it all.
Oh, play it.
Christmas cookie, got your Christmas cookie. You got the best taste of Christmas cookie that I ever seen.
There we go. It's Christmas and Christmas cookies.
Come on,
CNC.
I don't know. Like we were talking earlier, for me as an American, the one thing I sort of missed when I came here was the lack of Christmas cookies or Christmas cookies used in celebration. So now you've had a bit of a different experience, but we talked today about the different Christmas cookies we've had and the tradition behind some of them.
Yeah, well, when I grew up, I was probably cookie deprived, because I remember the cookie jar in my grandmother's house, and I remember going into it, but I don't remember anything special about it. So, and when came Christmas and New Year's and Thanksgiving, the whole holiday season, we probably had some cookies out there, like pinoli cookies, the Italian cookies.
Yes, I love those.
But basically, it was pastry. We were eating Italian pastries.
Oh, well, maybe I should have been at your house. That does sound lovely. We had cookies. Mom bakes, but Christmas was the time for baking. So during the year, I'd have, the good box stuff that I love, like Oreos. I'll still have today. Mm-hmm. But I was doing a bit of research on it, and it seems that because it's winter, and at least my part of the country, it's a time for visiting. So it's not like here, it's hot, it's the end of the school year, it's end of the work year, things close. And so there's that rush as well, rather than just the Christmas celebration. And so often you would take cookies to potlucks at work, if you're going to visit your aunt, because you might have all the aunts you can't see on the day. So you drop in and you bring cookies, or you get cookies from them, and presents. So often I'd make like cookie trays for friends and family or the neighbors. So it really was a Christmas tradition.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
I think one of the things that we used to do, and Jeanette still makes it when I beg her for it because it is a Christmas treat, is spongy, which is little bitty dough balls. And it's sort of like you could call it a cookie, I guess, because they're really small. And then, of course, you fry them, make them even better. And then you gather them up. And you could gather them up to look like a treat. And then you pour honey and hundreds of thousands over it.
Oh, that's magnificent.
I never liked the hundreds of thousands. Always pick from the bottom. And
it's like an Italian croquembouche.
Yeah,
if you do it that way.
Exactly.
Now, I have been lucky enough to have some of those brought into work when they are fantastic. I think they're your son's favorite. Is that?
Yeah, probably. And of course, she won't make it. That was too much work, but it's Christmas. Come on.
That's all right. This is why we're all tired.
So, Jeanette, when you're listening to this, make them.
It's like my favorite line from Christmas Vacation. It's Christmas. We're all in misery. And part of that is, now another thing at home would be a cookie swap. So, there was an era of ladies' clubs, luncheon clubs, or people that were at home, also workplaces. And there's quite a few rules to the cookie swap. I actually heard the cookie swap I wouldn't want to be in was Martha Stewart's office Christmas swap, because everyone would just have a lot to live up to. But often you pick, it's a good way to share your favorite things. It's also a good way to get out of cooking so many cookies or baking so many.
And you try everybody else's.
That's exactly right. So what you do is you get, a dozen people or whoever you want. We did it in an American group that we met in years ago. And I think there were about 20 of us. So we all baked 2 dozen cookies. And we left them on the table. And we all had specific cookies to make. So if you're worried about someone's baking ability, you might give them the easier cookie. But you give them the recipe that you want them to make. They come with their tray of cookies and recipe cards for everyone. So it's a little gift that keeps giving.
So nobody, took the easy way out and went to the store and bought cookies and put their name on it because they had to prove it. It's sort of like doing the test, remember in school you had to do the math test, and if you
show your work,
you got to just show your work. Yeah, how could you show your work when I'm looking over the other guy's shoulder? I can't see the work. I'm going to see the answer.
Yes, that's right. No, it would be that there's no Oreos brought or no plastic off the shelf, and then you grab a tin or a tray or if you're Martha, which I watched her, she does little Chinese takeout boxes, which is so Christmassy. Yeah. And then you walk around and you take 1 or 2 or 3, depending how many they are, and then you leave this beautiful tray of cookies, which you can scoff on the way home.
So do everybody gets a certain amount that they're allowed to take?
Yes. Well, whatever's there, you keep walking around the table. So it could be 2, it could be 4, 6, depending on the people and the generosity of the cooks. Yeah. And then you can have your platter out when people come to visit, or take it for Christmas Day without killing yourself, making everything else.
And take all the charm off of it. And then say, these cookies are so good, Barbara. You made them? Oh, yes.
I did. Yes. They're mine, and I put them on the table. So
this is the only one I didn't like. Oh, that's the one you made. Yeah.
And that's the other thing. If you're hosting the cookie swap, you will spend the extra time to make sure yours are the...
So did you ever worry about any of the participants on the cookies of what they would bring? Like, no, I'm not eating her stuff. Or, like if they got like really nasty hands and stuff and they're doing the thumbprint?
Well, I was going to say it's a bit of a crapshoot, but I don't know if I want to say it.
Those chocolate brownie cookies.
You might just put those to the side. You check everyone's nails as they come in. Ooh. But usually it's the time that you want to impress your friends, not gross out your friends. So it's a pretty safe, and it's a tradition that I really loved because it was... Then you'd have coffee and you'd chat, and it was an impromptu sort of Christmas party. So maybe one day we should do an office one.
Yeah, that sounds nice, but I don't think anybody in our office. They have a few,
we're a few
but
bakers.
Most of the people are eaters and not bakers or cookers.
Well, yes, we might have to put a bit more effort into that one. Now, I was going to say, when I was looking at things too, it's very sad, speaking of things at work, because we sell Pepperidge Farms, which is my favorite Milano's dark chocolate.
And Pepperidge Farm remembers.
They do. They remember how much I love them. And my mom usually has a bag waiting for me on my bedside table when I go back home for a visit. They have had an issue this year. There is a shortage because the workforce has dropped because of COVID and shutdowns, but people at home
have gone up.
And that COVID 10's become a COVID 15 and a 20, and they want some. So there is a shortage of cookies this year.
And do you know why? Because a recent Bloomberg, you heard of him, the Bloomberg Network, the one that basically bought all the votes in Florida. So he had other time to do with his money, and he did this survey.
Yes.
Okay, because I think he's a bit of a health nut too.
Yeah, so he
probably did this just to annoy people. So he did a survey on a U.S. cookie craze.
Right.
I didn't know it was a craze, but I thought this is probably an ongoing craze, been for the last 40 years. So that 40% of the people surveyed eat more than 48 cookies a month. Those fat.
Well, God bless them.
So 96 or more. Now that's a lot of cookies.
That's Olympian cookie eating.
16.1% of the population. Now, we know what those people are. They're over, you see them in Walmart. Yeah.
I knew you were going to mention that store. I knew it. Yes. Well, okay. As opposed to them, there are 5.6% people that don't have any cookies. I don't want to be friends with those people.
That's the margin of error in the survey is 5.6%. Then you see the fine print on the bottom.
How could you live without having cookies?
Yeah, I know it's really tough. I still have at least one. Well, yeah, when you think you have one cookie a night, well, that's 16 or 30 cookies. That's pretty easy to get to 48.
And who has one cookie? Do you ever stop at just one cookie?
I do.
I just think of George Carlin. Do you remember what he said?
No.
Did you ever sit in your kitchen and just eat a whole box of cookies just staring at the clock? 2 a.m. My mother taught me cookies come in threes. So if I have one cookie, I have to have the 2 backups.
It's the trilogy of cookies.
That's exactly right.
But cookies are, I know, it's just something that is just, it's Moorish. And it's easy because you just stick your hand in there. But then if you have a cookie, you have to have a glass of milk or you have to have a coffee, and I'm the same way. I have to have a cup of tea. I have to have something to drink with it.
That's right.
So that also probably brings the calorie level up depending on what you're drinking.
Yeah, because I want coffee with milk in the evening. I know it's sort of not the tradition. Yeah. Or hot chocolate.
So I really have a difficult time drinking coffee after 11 a.m. I don't know why. It just doesn't sit with me properly. But every once in a while, I do get the urge to have a coffee at night or after dinner. And then I'll just have an espresso with a little bit of anisette or Sambuca into it. So that settles your stomach.
That's right. It's a digestive.
Yes, it's a digestive. Or if I want something, I make a macchiato.
Yes, that's just the espresso with just a touch
of milk. And that goes down really nice. And I got these nice little macchiato.
And then you can dip if you have biscotti.
That's what I go for. Yep, this biscotti. See, the biscotti, I ration.
That's the cookie you have one of.
Yes, that's why I just have those in the house.
Well, in our house, it's like a race. Because my husband is the cookie monster. So Ainsley will bake cookies. I
thought I saw him outside in the garbage.
And she will leave a note. If there are less than 4 cookies left in the morning, I will be unhappy. So she bakes them, goes to bed, and then we wake up and we have breakfast cookies. So
cookies are good for breakfast.
I think I'm going to fit in that middle percentage there, actually. Now, we've had a few fun facts. Unfortunately for me, one of them involves our favorite cookbook from last week.
This is like deja vu all over again.
Now, I'm going to have a sip of water. I want to get mentally prepared for this.
No, this is a tough one.
Okay. So
what is the name of that cookbook? In 3, in one breath.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. American Cookery, or the Art of Dressing Viands, Fish, Poultry, and Vegetables, and the Best Modes of Making Pâtés, Puffs, Pies, Tarts, Puddings, Custards, and Preserves, and all kinds of cakes, she didn't say cookies, from the imperial plum to plain cake, adapted to this country and all grades of life by Amelia Simmons, an American orphan.
No wonder why her parents left her. Yeah.
She's a bit wordy.
Yes.
So one of the oldest American cookies, well, because this is the oldest book that we have written down, is this cookie that looks rather dense. It's just flour and a little bit of butter and some coriander in it.
Coriander?
I know. And then what you do is you bake them, and because they're so hard, it says to put them in the basement or a damp area or a damp vessel for at least a month to ripen.
Oh, God.
I think I'll take the Toll House. Yeah.
So what is you mentioned here her second thing, the art of dressing, what is that,
Viands?
What is a viand?
I don't know what we're not talking about viands this week. I didn't look it up.
We'll have to do a whole thing on viands.
I'll have to talk to our producer about that.
Yeah. What is a viand? Let's go, Brendan. And how about the not so fun fact?
Yes.
In colonial America, Christmas celebrations were punishable if you lived in a Puritan New England. So the Quakers didn't like.
This is no fun. What is that's not?
Yeah, that can't celebrate. Yeah, that's the devil's work.
That's exactly. If you're smiling, you've made a pact with the devil.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
We've got word in.
And the word is
an item of food.
An item of food. So dressing of food.
That's just unnecessary to stick that in the
Maybe
title.
That's the little things you put on like a turkey, on the legs, that little floral thing on there.
The stocking? The paper stocking? I don't think they're into them.
Or the crown roast of pork. Now, that's a good Martha Stewart recipe. That's in her holiday book.
And it's good for Christmas. That would be beautiful.
And it's with a plum stuffing with alcohol made in the middle with brandy. So you put the plums, or prunes, actually. Yeah. Well, a prune is a plum. And you put those, and you let them soak a week in brandy. And then you make the stuffing that goes in the middle of the crown roast.
I have not seen a crown roast here.
You have to go probably like to Peter Brochure and tell me you want one.
Okay. Or someone knows a butcher that can let me know. But I might give that a shot.
You probably have to trade your car in for it.
Probably. Well, back to fun facts. because the Puritans made me sad. So no, we're going to go back to our Revolutionary War history here. It's been a long time. And, the Department of Education of New York, how did they go for you? I'm not sure about the San Joaquin County Education Department. So Christmas is really a German celebration. That through Victoria marrying Albert and then through German immigrants coming to America sort of brought it to us.
Nothing to do with Coca-Cola and Santa.
No, that came much later when we learned to commercialize everything.
Yes,
so good
the American way.
That's right. So it was during the Revolutionary War, the British hired a bunch of German soldiers, the Hessian soldiers. And it was Christmas Eve in an area, Trenton, New Jersey. Yep. And they were making merry. They were having Christmas celebrations, and George Washington took advantage of this fact and crossed the Delaware for a surprise attack, which happened. There's the Battle of Trenton overnight. So it was December 25th to 26th, and it was one of the turning points of the war.
So that's when he went over the river there.
That's right.
The Delaware. Was it the Delaware?
It says crossing the Delaware. It's the name of the painting.
Yeah. So with the horse, sitting on the horse, the hair blowing in his.
And everyone doing all the hard work. He's just looking handsome.
And his wood teeth. He had wooden teeth.
We might want to verify that. I don't know. These are things
because that's what they couldn't put crowns in at the time.
No.
So they only had wood.
I'm not sure if he chopped the cherry tree down either. We grew up with these things, and I'm not sure what is all true.
I'm not going to go into the story I told you before about Washington slept here and the meaning of that.
No, he seems to be one of our many presidents with a colorful past.
Yes.
So that maybe he was just trying to punish the Hessian soldiers for enjoying themselves like his Puritan ancestors. It could be all going back to that.
It was cold then too.
Yeah, because so many people died of
and
exposure. Yeah.
So all right, so let's take a little bit of break. Have another thing of water. I need to clear my throat here, Barbara, and we'll get back with more milk, more moo milk, and cookies after this. Okay, we're back from our milk and cookie break. And then as we this is our second go at this because my phone rang. And you know how that goes. When everybody rings, like if I don't want to talk to you, so why are you answering the phone, right? and it's never good, sometimes it's never good news. It's not what you want to listen to when somebody rings the phone.
Just text me. My dad used to hear a phone ring and just go, God damn it. And then maybe he'd answer and he's like, what? It's like, sorry, Dad. Hi, how you doing?
I get that way sometimes. And remember the pagers?
Yes.
Before we had all this technology, but we still had mobile phones in your car.
That's right.
And I was doing sales stuff in California. And if I get a page, so if it was 911 that they would put in the code, that means pull over the road, stop everything and call.
Right.
Okay. So, and this was probably even before I had a telephone in a car.
So you had to find a payphone.
I had to find a payphone. And, when you got in East LA, finding a payphone without getting robbed and, what's on, and you didn't have sanitizers to wipe down the phone with, and you needed them, right? And then, whenever it was never like, oh, guess what? We just got this big account. No, it's guess you don't want to hear this. So why did you call me?
Make me pull over, risk my life. Yes,
exactly.
I used to be the person that used to have to call my boss, and he's often he had the first one that you held it like a handbag, that big phone.
I still got one of those. I'm waiting for it to be worth some money. It's an old Motorola one.
And he's like, what do you want? And I'm like, you better come back. He goes, I'm in a meeting. He was in the golf course or he was having a martini somewhere. I know exactly what was going on.
All right, let's get back to cookies here. So we're gonna talk about different types of cookies.
Yes.
The regional and ethnic backgrounds of cookies and the commercialization of cookies.
Oh, yes.
So we'll start with the types of cookies. So we'll start with the drop cookie.
Yeah, the good old drop cookie.
So those are ones you drop on the floor, kiss it before you get the 3 second rule?
Just wipe it off. And that would be like your toll hat, like your usually your round cookie. So like a Oatmeal cookie is a good drop cookie, or a Toll House cookie, like chocolate chip, one of those, so it's not perfectly formed.
And we know some history about Toll House.
We do. We both found out a few different things. You start.
Well, Toll House was named after the Toll House Inn, where Ruth Wakefield. She does have a third name there. I've written it down someplace, but I forgot it.
That's okay.
Yep. So she came up with the Toll House cookies using the chocolate chips. She was the first person to use chocolate chips into cookies.
Well, yeah, because she was trying to, God bless her, she was trying to cut corners. So she chopped up a bar of semi-sweet chocolate herself, put it in, and she took them out of the oven, and she was quite surprised that they hadn't melted into the cookies. She was trying to make chocolate cookies. But do you know, Mr. Nestle found out about these cookies, and he made a deal with her to buy the recipe. And do you know what extreme princely amount he paid her?
Let me guess. Is it under $5?
It is. It is $1.
Yep.
And it is all the chocolate she could use in her lifetime. But $1 did it.
$1. And all the chocolates.
And all the chocolate she could have.
So on Ruth's name,
yes.
So her probably maiden name was Graves, Ruth Graves. So she went by the name of Ruth Graves Winfield, and this all came about in 1938. You think Nestle could afford it in 1938 to give this hardworking woman $1 and all the confectionery can eat for life, right?
I think
she was probably 96 at the time.
I think in the old days you were probably very, proud that some big company wanted to use your recipe, but then lo and behold, you're not making ends meet after all of that.
It would be okay for the proprietor of the Toll House Inn because they promoted his name.
That's exactly right.
So he made out pretty good, and he probably got nothing. But then again, he just got a lot of people coming to his shop.
Now, with drop cookies, I find that is the best first cookie. Like the kids and I used to make those because there wasn't a lot of work. I could just have them grab a spoon and just
Flop it down. Drop it on a plate. Yeah.
That's right. And bake it and have it. And peanut butter cookies are that too. If you don't put the little cross in it, they are a drop cookie as well. I mean, you're only half pressing them. But those are the easiest and the ones that I make sort of all year round because I don't have to go too much effort for those.
And then we got a bar cookie.
Ooh, I love a bar cookie.
So this is what you have with your martinis and stuff.
Not that bar.
Not that bar.
The shape of a bar.
So shape of a bar.
Yeah. So you can make chocolate chip cookies into bar cookies. You just press it into a pan or lemon bars.
Yeah. I always saw those like pseudo cookies because they're more like sometimes cake.
Well, here they call it like a slice too, so it's similar to that, but bar cookies. And I've seen some really good pecan, Mom, praline cookies. Yeah. Also, so that's sort of a southern end of a bar cookie. And I think, Jeanette makes the
rainbow cookies.
Yeah. So that would be considered a bar cookie as well. And Jeanette, if you hear that, you can make those too if you feel like it, because I like those.
And they're good for Christmas too.
They are, and it is Christmas.
It is a Christmas cookie.
And then we have refrigerator cookies. So that would be
another reason to open up the fridge. Yes.
This is a good time-saving one. So you can make the layered. Like the Pillsbury in the tube.
Yes.
That is a refrigerator cookie.
But you got to cook it still.
Yeah, but you slice it. So you have it in the fridge, and then you slice it, and then you bake it. So it's perfectly round.
Oh, I got it. So it gets all that formed.
Or you can do pinwheel, the pinwheel cookies. Yeah. So you do a whole slab of that, and you stick them, and you slice them. So that makes them a refrigerator or icebox cookie.
Never knew that. Then we got the spritz.
The spritz. With the gun. You know the little cookie press gun?
Oh, that's the spritz?
Spritz cookie. You said it's so New York. Yes. So spritz cookies, which is like a really soft shortbready recipe. And they're pretty much all the same, except it's how you decorate them. So you can put a little bit of green food coloring in there and make Christmas trees. Put a little bit of hundreds and thousands on top. Put some cocoa powder in that. Make it chocolate ones.
We're getting sign language from,
I don't know.
From Brendan, our producer here.
What do you mean?
I'll cut this out.
No, don't cut it out.
The way that little gun's got the little stencils, so
so they have. So there's stencils that come with the cookie press. I actually have Don't tell my husband. I've got 3. Because some work better than others for different recipes,
Yep.
Stop laughing. You can never have too many black dresses, shoes, or cookie presses. And, they make like little wreaths, trees, donut-y shapes, and you can make hundreds of those in a go because it's only a little tiny bit of dough.
Yeah. So it's basically like when you go to Bunnings and you buy like the little, when you buy the glue
Caulking
tube
gun?
and the caulking gun, it's the same thing, right?
That is exactly right, except for cookies.
That's probably where the idea came from.
Someone's husband said,
Yeah.
Here, do that.
Yeah. And when you finish with it, could I need it because I got to caulk up the bathroom again? Okay.
I have had the unfortunate experience of maybe a few cookie doughs I've made could do that. Glue a few things shut.
Okay, let's move on.
Ethnic and regional cookies.
Now, the first one is one of my favorites, rugula.
I love it too.
Chocolate rugula. God bless the Jews. God bless them. Because they make such great rugula.
Oh, it's magnificent. Well, it's their cookie. And
God sent it down to them.
That's
why they're the promised ones.
That's exactly right. They are beautiful. And if you're not in a Jewish area, it's very difficult to find. Yes. So my hometown actually has a large Jewish temple. So we have a festival and I would get rugula there and I would see it there.
It's the chocolate. Whatever they do to the chocolate that's different in the middle of it, that it's just so unique.
Yes.
Oh, it is so good.
And they are beautiful. So that is something a lot of people won't know, or, they haven't been around it. And sort of like, and you brought some special things today. I was lucky enough. Italian cookies.
Yes, from our favorite bakery around the corner on Keys Road.
Yes.
Cafe Siciliana Dolce, meaning love of Sicily.
And everything there is beautiful.
Yes, yes. Go there. And their donuts are incredible. I keep on telling Barbara how good they are, but I didn't bring them today because it was cookie day.
Well, that's right. And I had this most beautiful surprise. Brendan and I actually broke some in half and shared them. Now, actually, I'm going to go back before we continue with Italian cookies. I'm going to spell rugula if you're looking up a recipe. It's Rugelah.
And it's right next to the the chopped chicken liver. Okay. All right, next one is whoopie pies. That has anything to do that was like really big for a while.
Yeah, it became big all over, but in the South, they started in the South.
Yeah. And
they became really big because it's just like a cakey cookie.
Yes.
That's filled with cream. Mm-hmm. Or you can make a marshmallow filling in that as well.
Yeah. So, and then we go to, and it had nothing to do with Whoopi Goldberg. Anyway, and then we got fortune cookies, which were done not by the Chinese, but the Japanese immigrants in San Francisco.
That's exactly right.
I didn't know that till just now.
It's true.
Just reading your notes. Stealing your notes.
Just stealing my notes. It's funny because I'm so near that area and I grew up with fortune cookies everywhere. I love them, but they were not Chinese. And the Japanese immigrants did it and then put it into and the Chinese took over. Yeah. And I think it might have been some Japanese immigrants that had a Chinese restaurant as well. So an Asian restaurant and went through that. But that is the funniest thing. So that must be, there you go. There's a traditional American cookie, the fortune cookie. Yeah. And I have to talk about Moravian cookies. So there is this, here we go, just bear with me, a Protestant sect from Monrovia, and they came over to the U.S. and they settled in 2 places in the U.S.
Southern California.
That?
Well, there is Monrovia, California.
Well, but they went to Winston-Salem.
Yeah.
And South Carolina, and they went to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So very different.
Town of
That's
Bethlehem.
right. And they make these little, they're very, very famous for their baking. So you can only get certain recipes in certain cities, and they make a shortbread that's like a gingerbread that's very spiced. So that is another little thing about U.S. immigrants in these 2 little pockets. And I have happened to see 3 different cooking shows, and they end up going to these hole-in-the-wall mom and pop bakeries that have been there forever.
Where you got to go.
And that's right. And and you can only get a Monrovian cake there, and and all those special tastes.
Yeah. And then last one, you could do this one because my pronunciation, which we all know, is not the best.
Well, thank you for throwing that on me because I could just blame it on you. So it is Farfanisa. Where's my nephew when I need him? He eats these.
See, I would have pronounced it
Farfanisa.
I would pronounce it Pfeffernuss.
Yeah, that's what I'm going. Man, you know what? I think the last syllable there should be changed because I have it phonetically here and I've killed it.
How do you spell phonetically? That's with an F or a P?
Well, much like the cookie, it's P. So here is PFEFFERNUSSE. It's like MISSISS.
Yeah. And they're spicy German cookies.
And they have like that really thin icing on the outside of it. And I buy all I can in Aldi for the 6 weeks they're on sale there.
Well, it's a German company and they do bring those in from Germany.
That's beautiful.
Along with the Stollen. Well, I don't know where they got it from, but...
it's Stollen.
Yeah. Now, we did talk about the best cookie in New York from Tate's in Southampton, but I'll give you some of the others that we found. So, from Alabama, okay, home of Joe Namath, the tender pecan logs that are covered with powdered sugar looked absolutely fabulous.
Beautiful.
Delaware has the double whammy eggnog cookie. And in Hawaii, their favorite for the holiday is ginger macadamia nut snowballs.
Yum.
Illinois, the holiday cornflake cookie that looks like a wreath. So they make the cornflakes and they make it like a wreath, and then they put like little red things on it. Like it look like Red Hots, but I'm sure it wasn't.
Or you turn the little mini M&Ms upside down, the red ones.
And in Indiana, they made the church window cookie. Now, this looked like basically a rocky road with colored marshmallows in it, and they slice it in half, and it looks like a church window. And our great state of Kansas, they did the sparkly
meringue.
Meringue, yeah. My spelling, I can't read it. So it's a sparkling meringue snowman, and that looked pretty interesting. Nebraska, home of Johnny Carson, okay, is the cranberry pecan oatmeal wreath. Look really nice. And it's healthy, you know. It was a healthy one. Because you got cranberries and oatmeal. Okay? In New York, other than the other one on their Christmas one is the rainbow cookie we talked about.
Yep.
They made it on that. And in West Virginia is the snowman treat. So it's white icing, and it was really cute. So they did like a white cookie with white icing on it. And then like they made earmuffs. And on the earmuffs, they use like M&Ms and then like a little chocolate band coming across. And the thing that really got, and then like little chocolate chip cookies to make the mouth and stuff. But for the nose, what they did was they got a bit of candy corn and like sliced it in half and made the nose out of a little bit of candy corn. Just fantastic.
Yeah, these would all be good for your cookie swaps.
Yes. Oh, now I have to go find somebody to do a cookie swap with. Okay. And the last one, now this didn't have a place, but just something I found, was a cookout caramel s'mores.
Ooh.
Okay. So I don't know why they call a cookout, because it had nothing to do with cooking outside. So you do your graham cracker. It's only very simple ingredients. So graham cracker, marshmallows, caramel topping, they use on ice cream, and chocolate syrup.
Oh.
Okay. So you put one down the other, and what makes it melt is you heat up your caramel, sorry. Selling it in the New Yorker term.
I say caramel.
And chocolate syrup. And you drizzle that over the marshmallows, and that heat from that melts it down, then you make your sandwich out of it.
Oh, that sounds messy and good.
Yeah. And then the only thing that we forgot about, and I don't know how this went over our heads, we didn't talk about rum balls.
Oh, that's so unlike us on a number of levels.
How do we forget about rum balls? Now let's get into commercialization.
As we know so well.
Yep.
Now, if you are stuck and you're going to visit someone, I wouldn't mind if someone came over with a dozen Mrs. Fields cookies.
It's something we only ate at the mall, and that's quite recent time. I mean, probably the last 25 years?
Oh, well, no, it's a little bit, California's a little bit longer than that, because my mom actually worked with the girl that went to college with Debbie Fields, Mrs. Fields, who when she made the company, I don't even think she'd hit 30 yet. Yep. So she was good looking, Mrs. Fields. And they would do the little ones as well as the big ones.
Yeah, and then they make them like in the size of a pan too.
That's right. So you can get a Mrs. Fields cake if you like. And you can smell those all through the shopping center. Yeah. You can smell the popcorn. You can smell Mrs. Fields when you're walking through.
Yep. And know that My son, that was one of his favorite places. That's how Jeanette got him to go shopping all the time. We'll stop at Mrs. Fields and gave him a cookie and a drink, and he was quiet all the time.
I like a good bribe. I used to do that with my children. There's every call for it. And what about Famous Amos?
Yeah, he's famous. When did he come out?
He was, prior to that, I want to say late 70s, early 80s.
But he came out really with the bite-sized chocolate chip cookie.
That's right. So you could buy, a bucket of them or, handfuls, bags of them.
Mm.
Did you know, I found out he was a talent rep. He was a manager for, like, Diana Ross.
Wow.
I know. And then he just on the sideline did the cookies.
Yeah. And then, he probably had all the financial backing that he needed because he could do that. And it was a hobby, and he made something out of it.
Well, and the difference, Famous Amos were really crunchy, and Mrs. Fields are really soft. Yes. So you love them or you hate them.
Now, there's one, speaking of crunchy cookies, there is a famous place in New York, okay? And we had them when we went to the Hamptons for a wedding. Of course, the Hamptons, what other better place there is. It's called Tate's, Tates.
Yes.
And I think we brought some back.
Yes.
They were just the most outstanding cookie. In fact, if you look up the 50 cookies of each state in America, Tate's is for New York in Southampton. It is a crunchy, thin, superb. This is one where you break that 48 in about one sitting, But we have found a very similar one, okay, that we sell in the shop, and you could get it from us or elsewhere, is Patent Sticks.
Yes.
Their chocolate chip cookies are almost identical to Tate's.
They are magnificent. And they also have, what do we have, gingerbready ones? And what else? I'm just trying to think. We have a few varieties, but they are buttery and crisp.
Yeah.
And
very, very thin.
Yes, and you don't eat just one.
Unfortunately.
Yes, you wouldn't be able to hold yourself back at just the one. I might go for the 6 instead of the 3 because they're small.
Yes. It's a ratio. Okay, and then also, we're talking about commercialization. And what better to commercialize people is talk with the Girl Scouts.
Oh, yes. And people will cut you for Girl Scout cookies. My mom spent a fortune mailing them to me. And look, let's be realistic. They're sort of average.
Yeah, they come out once a year.
But that's why they're special, because you can only get them once a year.
And if you were in America at the time when they're out, just about every shopping center, in front of every Walmart, there's a little table there with selling the Girl Scout cookies.
That's exactly right. I liked it when I was working, because someone would come in, they'd have a girl in the Girl Scouts. The kid didn't even have to sell anything because they'd pass the paper around, and we'd all buy dozens of them.
Yes.
Peppermint patties.
Well, my favorite was the Groucho.
The Groucho. I don't know that one.
That was the very crunchy, peanut buttery chocolate. It's really nice.
Was that not Tag Along? Did they change that one?
They might have changed the name along the time, but at one time when it was done by FFV, which was the original company that made the cookies, that was Groucho. When they changed over, you can't get them anymore.
Thin Mint. That's what I want to say. Not peppermint patties. Thin Mints. A sleeve is a serving. You got 2 sleeves in a box, and if that box lasted 2 days.
Yeah. And do you know, just the other night, I go put on Jeopardy. Can we get the music, please? I put on Jeopardy.
Yes.
And I got into halfway through the show, and one of the categories was cookies.
How perfect.
And they brought up what Girl Scout cookies is named for an island in the South Pacific.
And you could say
Samoa.
No, how do you say it?
I say
what is Samoa?
What is Samoa, Alex, for 400?
That's Mom would send a box of those to Brendan because that was his favorite.
So I missed all the questions, but I got the other one. One was about Toll House.
Yes.
About the end of Massachusetts, and I forgot the third one. Come on, Brendan. Speak up. You remember? He forgot too. All right. Well, we'll go on from there. So,
that's all right.
All right. So next one is Stella Dora.
I love Stella Dora.
Stella Dora, I remember as a kid. That's one of the cookies that we always had in the house. We had the big S-shaped ones and the anisette cookies.
And they had the soft biscotti. So it's it was just aniseed. Many of their cookies were. I think that's why I loved it.
Yeah. And we had the ones with the sesame seeds on those little bitty ones. Those were my favorite. And they go perfectly with an espresso. So,
and they had some pink ones.
And then every time when we moved to Brooklyn,
yeah,
and just about every week went up to my grandma's or my aunt's at the time, up to the Bronx, and we used to go by the Stella D'Oro factory. I remember seeing the factory alongside the Major Deegan Expressway.
That would be
going
amazing.
Up to the Bronx.
I remember. I think my Aunt Blynn used to have them as well, but it was like a visiting cookie. Like I love them. And I cannot find when I go home.
It's hard to find on the West Coast.
It is. I think they were bought out by a different company, and then they sort of much like Hostess and things, and it stopped, and then it restarted again. But it's more East Coast. But I think we've got a really good Italian contingent in San Francisco, so some of those things make their way across.
And remember the other one, the Angel ones? So they were very, very light with a white glaze on them. They weighed nothing.
I probably ate a few. I don't remember right now because I'm stuck on it was like a Neapolitan one. There was one that was, I don't know the shape, but it was pink chocolate and vanilla. And I used to eat a few of those.
They made some really nice cookies.
And Pepperidge Farms.
Yeah.
So that's both sides.
Yeah. That's a national company, Pepperidge Farm. And they made all sorts of goodies like Chessmen, which is like their shortbread. And then they got the Montauk and
yeah, all the big cookies, the chocolate chippy sort of nutty ones. But my favorite is like a Milano.
Milano is probably their most popular.
And it just melts in your mouth. They are absolutely beautiful. And luckily, I managed to buy there's usually a bag if we have them in stock in my bottom drawer.
I know where to look now.
That's exactly right.
And then we go on to for kids, animal crackers.
I found, can we go back to fun facts for a second?
Beep, beep, beep.
I found out that I used to love them because they had the string on them.
Yes.
Right, the box of animal crackers, and you could give me one of those as a kid, shut me up for a while, and carry it around. But the string, they put that on so you could hang them on your Christmas tree.
Didn't know that.
I didn't either until I read it. I was like, oh, how perfect.
I thought it was like a little purse,
Me
that
too.
you could carry it around. And, they only took the string off probably within the last year and a half, 2 years.
And I think it's a travesty.
It is.
Because it's not the same, and you can't get if you're an adult, I can still carry it, but now I'm like, can't get my stubby fingers in that little thing.
So here's the question. So are animal cookies vegetarian?
New section, dad jokes. Oh my God.
Then we go on to probably on commercialization, but this is a little bit different. So this is not like true marketing, but it's just things that were on TV shows. Sesame Street.
Oh, the
Cookie Monster. Cookies.
He was. I loved him. He was sort of like, how Elmo was famous?
Yeah. Elmo.
I loved the Cookie Monster. Probably because I was a Cookie Monster. And I like how he ate with abandon. I like anyone who's that comfortable with their food intake.
Yeah.
And black and whites.
Yeah, on Seinfeld.
That's right. Yeah. Ebony and Ivory.
Yes.
And when we get them in, we have been known to split one for morning coffee.
And they both taste the same on each side. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the black and whites. Our might be something to do with COVID, but our supplier of that can't supply them at the time.
And they are an interesting thing where they are sort of a cake. Yes. A cakey cookie.
It's like I would call that a drop cookie because it's like...
Yeah, exactly. It's just they've made them a bit fancy with the fondant on top. Yes. And then of a Californian one that I forgot about.
Well, this goes early on, and when the initial health craze started coming in, and you all heard me talk about Leo and Mary Jane.
Yes.
Right? So they were all into a lot of the healthy foods and stuff, and she brought over Barbara's famous cookies. So from California. So Barbara, I think, I don't know where she was from, but somewhere in Northern California.
Would have to be, because
and on the label, what I remember distinctly was Barbara, and then the small print underneath it is Susan's sister.
Poor Barbara. Her whole life, she couldn't get rid of her.
She couldn't get rid of her sister, no. But they made big cookies, individually wrapped, and really big chunks of chocolate in it.
And you know what else they made? They made their version of animal cookies. And they weren't as exotic. They're like little horsey shapes, but they were made, instead of sugar, they used apple juice. Because I love those. So Mom would get them because that was my name.
Healthy, yes.
And they were healthy. Yeah. but not healthy when you ate the whole box. It's like, that's not a serving. But the idea was good.
Yeah, so you had your own private little stash with your name.
That's
There's
right.
my name on it.
Don't touch it.
It's like, this is another story. So when I was young and trying to make $1, right?
Right.
I was selling Fuller Brush. I never told you that.
I never. Oh, we have Fuller Brush stuff at our house.
And they had such great products
Yeah.
at the time. And one lady I used to sell to, her name was Sears. Okay. And she used to joke that all of her appliances had her name on it. They all self-monogram. You get the stove was Sears, you know.
That's right. The washer, dryer,
Sears.
everything. That is so funny. I think my mom still has a stash of Fuller Brush stuff.
No, we go to favorites. What's your
Yes.
favorite?
Okay, so I have a couple favorites, and I'm going to put in some recipes for these. You remember last week we talked about community cookbooks
Yes.
and the Buddhist community cookbook that I got from 1980.
It's like a little prayer book you got there.
It is Stockton's Buddhist Women's Association, and the sugar cookie recipe in here is awesome because it's quite different. You use oil in it, so a lot of American baking uses a neutral oil in it.
Right.
And they get like crunchy, but it's not like cakey cookie. And you cover it with sanding sugar on the top.
Ooh.
It freezes really well and makes a huge recipe. So you can put some away. But it has like cream of tartar in it. And so it's sugar, powdered sugar, baking soda, oil, flour, vanilla, cream of tartar, butter, eggs, not too many eggs. And it is so crunchy. And so I'm going to make some of those this year.
And that recipe's from Mitzi. Right?
No, yeah, Mitzi,
Adachi.
Adachi. And then another one, I'll just say it because it's from the book as well, which I have made this recipe 100 times. And we talked about the German cookies that you sent over. Mm-hmm. This is called a Russian tea cake. This is called a Mexican wedding cake. This is called, I don't know, whoever did it. It's the same cookie, different names, right? So it's
the names have changed to protect the innocent.
That's exactly right. So it's like a little shortbread bowl.
Just the facts, Barbara. Just the facts.
With ground.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me get through this, Philip.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
The Russian make big trouble for moose and squirrel. So it's like 1 cup. It's like butter, confectioner sugar. So that is powdered sugar. If you're looking, let me just do an aside. If you're looking at an American recipe, powdered sugar, confectioner sugar, I think 10X is another name for it. It's a shortbread with chopped walnuts or pecans in it. You bake it and in a bowl, in the shape of a bowl. And then when you take it out, you roll it in the powdered sugar as well. So that lasts a long time, tastes better as the days go on. So that's a good thing to have in the cupboard and looks really good on a cookie platter. And then I also have my Aunt Agnes's gingerbread recipe. So it is a family tradition. I have to ice some blue because that's what Agnes did for me. And it is butter. This is how the recipe goes. Butter, brown sugar, egg, molasses. Mix as usual. Let me get it out of the binder. There we go. So this is in my holiday Bible, which Phil has seen earlier. So my cousin.
Well used because I could see all of Christmas
stains.
past all over it.
Everything. So it has a 1/3 cup of butter, 1/3 cup of brown sugar, 1 egg, 1/2 cup molasses, 2 3/4 cup flour, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1/2 teaspoon soda, 2 teaspoons cinnamon, 1 teaspoon ginger. I do double the spices. That's just me. Mix as usual, it says. So you just wing it. Chill dough, roll, and then cut as desired. There is no temperature and there's no time. It's just better underbaked than overbaked. And that is it. But that is, I've made gingerbread houses. I have made gingerbread ornaments. I have made gingerbread upon gingerbread. And my goddaughter uses it now to make gluten-free gingerbread for her and her son.
There you go. So now my favorite, I never baked cookies.
Yes.
The only thing I baked one time was old girlfriend, her grandmother's recipe of making shortbread.
Nice.
And then she got pissed off at me because I took the recipe. I was working at the bagel bakery and I did it in the machine and not by hand. Oh. And it was like I created a mortal sin. Okay.
Maybe because they were better than hers.
I don't know. But anyway, because it was just nothing but flour, sugar, and butter.
Yeah.
And of course, the heat from your hands melts the butter, and that's what does it. So anyway, I tried to avoid that. But in saying that, and then since that was the only cookie I ever baked, but my favorite cookies, long time, is chocolate chip. But here's the topper. Now, this is going back into I'm going to show my age, but in the 70s, her brother Todd, taught me very simply. We were having some cookies one time.
Yep.
He takes out the jar of peanut butter, dips the chocolate chip cookie into the peanut butter.
Oh my
I've been doing that ever since, but I try not to dip it in because they break in there, and then you got to dig it out with your fingers. So I do use a knife or a spoon, but chocolate chip cookies with a layer of peanut butter on it.
Hey, you could make a sandwich cookie with that. 2 chocolate chip cookies with peanut butter in the middle.
Yeah, then I need more peanut butter, then it'll squish all out. No, it's too messy then. Okay. And my other favorite is biscotti. And then what my first time ever having biscotti, I was traveling between LA and San Francisco, going up to Oakland and going up to Walnut Creek.
Yes.
Okay. And
I bought my wedding dress in Walnut Creek.
A nice bakery up there, and you have to go through that mountain thing and through a tunnel to get there.
The Altamont.
And they used to do with the biscotti with chocolate, like dark chocolate melted over one side of it.
Oh, yeah.
So even the ones that you get at Costco, those biscottis, they're from California. They're really, really good. And just melt down some chocolate and cover it. Brush on hot chocolate on one side, let it sit, and you just improved it 110%.
And then no one knows you didn't bake it either.
Because then it looks homemade.
You could take those to a cookie swap.
Speaking of cookie swap, but you and Brenda just did a cookie swap before.
We did.
Yeah.
I'll have half this one, you have half that one.
Yeah, after they bit into it, but I guess they're married.
But I got ripped off. I got a third. He got a whole half. So I need to argue about that later.
Okay, well, that takes us to our next break, and we'll be back with the secret code. Okay, now we're back with the secret word, which is got milk. I don't know where I hear that someplace before, but got milk.
So I know it's ours now. What goes better with cookies but milk?
Okay, now, Barbara, tell us about where are we?
We are going crazy. But if you want to come down to USA Foods, we are at 73 Cochran's Road, Moorabbin, and our hours are Monday through Thursday, 10 to 5. Friday, we are 10 to 8, so you can get down late and do a bit of shopping while we have daylight savings going. Saturday is 10 to 5 again, and Sunday is 11 to 4.
Now, one other thing I'll add on to it, because this is Christmas week, and hopefully you're all listening to before Christmas, not afterwards, but we just got in a whole load of Christmas Hershey products.
Oh, yes.
So all the Build a Santa Claus Hershey bar and the Reese's trees and
all the good stuff. You can get in before I buy most of it.
Okay. So, but if you want to contact us and say something about our show, or if you want to invite yourself onto it, contact us as podcasts@usafoods.com.au, and don't be bashful.
Yeah, we'd love to hear feedback. We're actually going to be speaking to about one of our favorites in a little bit. We've also got our usual feedback person. It was a bit slack last week. We didn't hear from Leslie, but Leslie did say that the cookbook show was the best ever.
The best ever.
And she said, "We're on fire."
No, she meant fire.
That's it. Maybe that's what she's referring to. It's very funny. Oh, God. And also, my mother sent a bit of feedback here. And if we can go back to pies, if we can all get our decorum back, gentlemen, if we can go back to pies, she told me about my grandmother, who she used to make. So, bit of history. My grandparents on my dad's side came from Oklahoma during the Dust Bowl, like Grapes of Wrath. So they came in the back of a truck from Oklahoma to California, and then they picked fruit. For years. And so Grandma used to work in the sheds, grading the fruit. Mm-hmm. And she would obviously get some and she used to dry all the summer fruits, so apricots and things. And when she made pies, she would then cover them with boiling water just to rehydrate them, and then she'd make hand pies. So Mom said she had an apricot one, which was the best, but it was sort of like a hostess pie. So once she made a sugar syrup, did it, and then fried them.
Oh, good.
And I hope she glazed them.
And apricot. I like apricot jam. I never had an apricot pie, but
No, but we should try that. But we can get dehydrated apricots and do the same. And she also had, she had a tip.
Oh, tip from Halloween. Or tip from Mom.
Tip from Mom. She said her favorite place that does pies, they do a pecan pie or pecan pie and a walnut pie. And she said, with all the sugar and stuff, you really can't taste the difference. Walnuts are cheaper. Use that.
Yes. It's sort of like people making the Italian thing with they put peonies, you put basil, pesto.
Pesto, yeah.
So a lot of times, peonies are very expensive. Yes. Use walnuts.
I think I've had a walnut pesto. Yep. And remember when we talked about Crisco? You gave us a bit of history on Crisco. Yeah. I'm going to have to read this exactly because let's just see. My grandmother, talking about depression foods, she would give the grandkids shortening with sugar on it as a treat. Not me, she emphasizes. So maybe my order is a bit clear. She probably used lard back in the day. They knew hard times. Our country's history with food is fascinating, and with those who had what they had and just had to scrape by. So
Crisco was a treat with sugar on it.
Yeah, so she walked into the house and my cousin was sitting there and she thought it was like ice cream or something. She goes, "What are you eating?" It's just a bit of Crisco with sugar.
See, now, if she was a little bit more creative, she would have put a little bit of cocoa powder into the Crisco and sugar, and then maybe a little bit of hazelnut. And you know what you got then? Nutella. The most overrated product on the market, Nutella. That's all it is. It's Crisco and sugar and less than 15% of hazelnuts.
It is an absolute. They try to sell it as a healthy. It is. You can ask my kids. They heard no every time we went to the grocery store. I'm not buying that for you. And then I made a healthy one for them. Wouldn't eat it.
If you want to do something a little bit healthier, if they like that type of thing, get a good jar of peanut butter, add some chocolate powder into it, and flavor it with the chocolate, and there you go.
Well, and the PB & Co. They make a chocolate one.
Yeah, I don't know what I've had to them, but we
need to get them
in the
back.
new year because they did do that, and it was so much healthier than Nutella.
And my grandma used to make chocolate gravy as well. Well, there you go. There's some more flour and milk and a bit of cocoa powder. Mm-hmm. And now, I don't know if you remember, I think you will, Megan Cusack, who is a listener, and she sent us an email about how she had moved to California, an Australian mom, American dad, and she put her mom used to put the hot dogs in the soup in her lunchbox, so she had like a hot dog.
Yes.
Well, she gave us a recipe that her mom used, and she makes it at Christmas. So she has sent the best copy of it, and I'm going to put it on our Instagram later on this week, closer to when the episode goes. And it's Cranberry Christmas Canes.
Candy cane, I got the candy cane. I got the best taste of candy cane that you ever say.
Now, someone wrote this recipe out for her mom in the 70s, and it's magnificent because someone's put a glass of water on it, and little bits and pieces, and there's little notes made, which is fantastic. It's sort of
good penmanship too.
It looks very beautiful, easy to read, and it was handwritten for her back in the 70s. Now she makes it, and she's going to be making it again. So hopefully, maybe she'll take a photo for us, and we can see it. So I'm going to read it briefly, and we'll pop it up as well. So it's good old-fashioned recipe where you scald milk. So you scald some milk, and because you're going to be adding that to unsifted flour, sugar, salt, and lemon peel. And then you do Fleshman's margarine. Fleshman's, remember that brand? Until it's a coarse meal, and dissolve 1 packet of yeast in 1 cup of warm water. So it's going to be like a little cakey, bready cookie. And you do that the usual way and combine. You cover the dough tightly, refrigerate for at least 2 hours or up to 2 days. When ready to bake, combine 1.5 cups finely chopped cranberries, yum, sugar, raisins, chopped pecans, honey, and grated peel, I think it says. Cook over medium heat and use it as a filling. So you cut them out into strips and then you shape them into canes. I will give a proper copy of this for people to read if they want to make it, but I think I'm going to add it to my list.
Are you going to try to make it?
I am, because it's going to be my baking is therapy, and this will be my Christmas therapy when I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get everything done in time. So, Megan,
better start tomorrow.
Anything with you. I'll start this like an idiot at 10 o'clock at night and wonder why I'm still up at 3 in the morning. Because that's what I do. But Megan, thank you so much for this. And I will give you I'll let you know how I went. And we really appreciate you being in contact with us. And this is the awesome thing when people sending us emails and recipes and favorite things that they do. So we really do appreciate that.
And we'll return with Nat Nosh.
With our favorite part of the show, Nat Nosh.
And today, Wednesday, December the 16th. Wow, it's almost Christmas time.
Don't tell me we just discussed this.
And the first one is National Chocolate Covered Anything. I love it. Whatever you want. Chocolate on it.
That's right. What is the weirdest chocolate covered thing you've had?
Ooh. I don't think I've had anything that was weirdly chocolate covered. Like
crickets.
Avocados? Yeah.
I had chocolate covered crickets.
Chocolate covered crickets, yeah.
It was still good.
Jiminy Cricket, yeah. Okay.
Pretzels, etc.
That sounds really good. So just get anything. Put your finger in a chocolate bowl. That'll help.
I have been known to have Raisinets for breakfast. That's a fruit, isn't it?
Yes.
Raisin. Yeah, it's our chocolate covered raisins. That goes. Yep. And then tomorrow is National Maple Syrup Day, which is wholesome and yummy.
Yeah. And you know that the Canadians,
yes,
our friends up north, think that our maple syrup is inferior to theirs. But the trees don't know, but they're all grown in the same region of the world, up north, like in Vermont and all that.
Yeah.
Do you think the trees know which side of the border they're on?
No, it's maybe that passive-aggressive thing.
It's the Canadian maple syrup cartel. And, I don't know if you remember reading about that, like the mafia up there stole like millions of barrels of maple syrup under their noses. They didn't even know about it because they just got upset because they were controlling the price of maple syrup. And they said, well, fine, if you're going to control it, put it that high, we're going to steal it. And they did.
It's sort of a sweet story, like not to be silly about it, but it's a very Canadian crime story to me.
Yes. They got the Mounties out there and Bullwinkle too.
I hope they're wearing their coats.
Yes. And on Friday, getting off of maple syrup and something a little bit more savory, roast suckling pig day.
Oh.
It must be big in Hawaii.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That would be magnificent. Apple in the mouth.
Yeah. I don't know. I never had a suckling pig.
I have. We had. I was part of the family I was part of. They did a suckling pig. It wasn't a luau-y thing, but it was just the crackle.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. But I don't think now, as time's gone on, I want to look at the face of anything I'm eating.
Unfortunately, not long ago, I was in Costco and they had suckling pigs. And somebody took it out of the box in the freezer. And here's this pig
I can't do
looking
that.
at, I could just see the kids, having, ah! Mommy! Ah! Oh.
Well, yeah, 'cause we don't know where our food comes from anymore. That's the problem. Like, I remember going to visit my dad on his little ranchette, and I was just like, don't get attached to that one.
Yeah.
Because or I'd be eating steak, and he goes, oh, that's Pierre.
Oh,
Feeding beer and molasses the last month, and tenderizing it. But yes, that's a bit frightening for small children now, I think.
And then on the 19th, Saturday, is National Hard Candy Day. I remember the old hard candy they used to get from Brax or whatever in a jar.
Yes, absolutely.
And they had like that little powdered sugar on the outside of it.
It was powdered sugar. They're like travel mints or travel candies, sort of different and fruit shaped. They had different ones like
and then
that.
then you went to ones that are a little bit softer and had like a fruit filling in it.
Yes, I remember. They crack. I would
Yeah.
always crack.
Mm.
Do you know what you can do? Here's a tip. You know the little peppermints, the red and white ones? You can put those all together in a cake pan, right, with an edge. You can melt it
Yeah.
and make like a little peppermint tray.
Ooh, little crackle.
A little,
Break 'em
just
up.
like, yes. And that would be, you could just serve things on that.
Mhm.
And also good when you have a sore throat.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
Instead
we-
of having throat lozenges, it always helps.
Your mom always had wintergreen or I forgot which mint it was, Lifesavers. And that does make me think of having bronchitis. Could you just have those? Don't have to go to the doctor. That'll fix you.
Yes. And on Sunday
Yes.
is
National Fried Shrimp Day.
who doesn't like fried shrimp?
Oh, it's magnificent. I like it when you get the fried shrimp that has like the pastry around it.
With bacon?
Yes, I like the fried shrimp where you just fry it.
Just
like-
a very simple fry, just like a seasoned flour, real
That's
quick.
right. And
in
if it's crunchy enough, you can eat the tails, just everything in.
And we talked about the black Angus coconut shrimp. That was just so
Oh,
good.
That was very
Yeah.
good too.
And also for everybody in Australia, a lot of times you buy shrimp or prawns over here, and they're tasteless.
yes.
And what you need to really do, I think we might have mentioned this at an earlier broadcast, go to a local market like the Vic Market or the Gdayall
Yep.
Market, and they would have fresh Australian prawns. Buy those, and you'll get the best
Yeah,
taste.
they
going.
are magnificent.
Yes. And also on the same day
Yes.
is, of course, we can't get past the alcoholicus, is National Sangria Day.
Oh.
Now, it did have its time, sangria. Remember Yago Sangria?
No, but I remember having it made, and there's a local restaurant here that makes sangria, and it's still,
And it's good now. This time of year,
Oh, this is
sangria is great.
and you can have with the white wine or the red wine, and it's a sort of drink you got to be a little bit careful because you have a few and then you stand up, and
Yeah,
then
and you fall down. Yeah.
You realize you might have had too many of those few.
Yes.
It's a refreshing, and it would go with fried shrimp as well.
But Yago Sangria came out, I think, probably in late 60s, early 70s, along with Boone's Farm apple wine, around that same era.
I missed that one.
And what
I'm
was
a
it? And-
Bartles and Jane's wine cooler.
Yeah. And Matus Rosé,
Yes, I
and which is
remember
still
that.
around. It's
I-
usually that around.
I actually bought a bottle of that not long ago because my friend and I, we buy things because the label looks pretty. And I
Yeah.
was like, flashback.
And you had that special bottle. Yeah, but I only associate with those things with marijuana. I don't know why.
It's not that type of show.
Yeah, I know.
There's a
But
whole
it's
other
just
cookie recipe.
Going back to
we
the
can talk
60s,
about.
Okay, now you can do the next one, Barbara.
National, it's another on our boozy theme, Coquito Day.
Coquito.
So it will be Puerto Rican.
Coconut.
Yeah, and Puerto Rican
Coconut.
eggnog is sort of.
Well, it is served in a small cocktail glass,
Yes.
usually over ice. And it's
Rum?
pina colada. Rum, of course, rum, yes.
Yes.
But it's like the pina colada, but only with the colada, which is just the coconut juice.
That's right. And the recipes that I looked today, they had cinnamon and they had condensed milk in it as well.
Yeah. Oh, that will make it, a bit thicker. But I think the true way was just because the coconut milk is pretty thick. The one that's out of the can. The Coco, what's the name? Something Lopez was the brand name in America.
Actually, yeah, someone.
Coco Loco.
Yeah, the recipe I saw mentioned that name,
Yes.
and it looked very good.
And as a kid growing up in the Bronx, we had the Italian ice, and then we had the Puerto Rican ice, which was Coco Calito. And I just loved that as a kid. It was coconut ices.
Yum.
And it was just so good. And then one time we're in Soho, not even Soho, no, in near where the market is, down, I can't think of the name. Anyway, but we're walking on the street, and there's a Coco Calito man, and I had to go get one.
That says I love coconut, and we have a huge sort of Filipino population in my hometown, so you often get like coconut candies and coconut drinks and things, and I can relate to that.
Well, in the Bronx, because of the Puerto Ricans, that was a big
Yeah.
thing with the people from islands were drinking coconut. And we used to go to the local bodega,
Mhm.
and they had these big, like 3-gallon jars filled with fresh coconut, just big chunks of it
Oh,
in
gosh.
coconut water. And you would buy 4 pieces for a nickel.
Yum.
How healthy was that?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's about probably it. With any other healthy things in that shop?
Yeah, the ding dongs. And then we got on the same day is Hamburger Day, National Hamburger Day.
Every day is Hamburger Day, really? I mean,
nothing special anymore.
No, because everyone's, even though people will still wait, 14 hours for the In-N-Out.
For an In-N-Out, yes. And then National Kiwi Fruit Day, but only in California.
Well, we're special. We like our fruit. I didn't even know we grew kiwis. We grow everything there. We are the food basket of the nation, so it's told. But I like the golden kiwi fruit. They're only out really briefly, like for about 3 weeks, and they are worth having. Can I just say my husband eats them.
With the skin.
With the skin
furry.
on. It's like he's eating a spider. It's disgusting. I can't look at it.
But it tastes like a big grape inside, don't it?
Yeah, but it's like furry. Doesn't it tickle?
Furry.
Oh, gross.
It's like a persimmon. Yeah.
And Tuesday is National Date Nut Bread Day. I like a date nut bread.
Yeah, with cream cheese on it.
Ooh, I was going to say slathered with butter, but I'll go cream cheese.
Is better. Oh,
I have never done that.
Well, you going to now?
Okay, absolutely. I might have to put that on my Christmas baking list too.
Yes, I want a piece of that.
I'll bring it in.
Okay. You tell me when it's bringing in, I'll bring the cream cheese.
Okay, you got it.
Okay, now you got to go a bonus day. And here we go back to this German national biscuit of Pfeffernusse or whatever the hell it is. Pfaffenhagen. No.
It's not Farfanugan. That was
not Farfanugan. Okay.
Well, that is because we're talking about cookies and Christmas, and that is a Christmas cookie. So we are just bringing that forward a week.
Okay. And now on to next week. We're going to be talking about what we always talk about. Alcohol. So because we're going to be skipping around holiday season, of course, drink, and then we get into New Year's.
Yeah, got to be prepared.
What better time to talk about cocktails and Bloody Marys?
Bloody Mary is the hangover cure as well.
Yes.
It's breakfast in a cup.
Never thought about that. Breakfast in a cup.
Yeah, okay. Especially now because at home they stick just about a car on top of it. You can get bacon and fried olives and fantastic
prawns into it.
Prawns, everything. It used to be just that bit of celery that used to stir everything around now.
Now they got rid of the fruit, so I put the non-fruit in it.
That's right.
Okay, so that's about it for this week.
Oh, I've got so much shopping and baking to do.
Well, happy Festivus.
For the rest of us.
For the rest of us. Goodbye. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Ooh, a love like mine, you know that love is true.